Hello and welcome to the North Metro SBDC programming.
Welcome everyone to the amazing talk from Colleen Watson. She's going to be dropping some great gems about how to spruce up your About Me page and make it really compelling for those people coming to your website and looking at you and going, well, who is this? Who is this people? Right? And should we do business with them?
Hi, everybody. My name's Colleen. I'm president of a company called Century Plant Publishing, and we're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen here. Give me just a second. Of course, technical stuff. And then we'll go ahead and present. We'll do the full view. All right, here we go. So this is called Rockstar About Me Pages for Non-Writers, and it's from zero to first draft. So I only promise a first draft in this one. Of course, there are second and third and fourth and seventh and 10th drafts, right? So let's go ahead and get started. So who am I? That's me. I'm Colleen Watson. I am a former librarian in a past life. That's what I did. I'm a novelist. I'm still writing those books, but I am, doing that. And I am a business owner. So why did I share that? Because there are all of those identities play into the story of how I developed this class and how I can help you write your About Me page. All right. So who are you? So I figured there's a couple of different types of people here. There are the people who have an About Me page, but it needs a refresh. Either it's not compelling, you don't like it, or maybe your business has pivoted. Entrepreneurs, our business, I don't know about you, but my business pivots all the time. And you need a refresh so it more accurately represents what you do. Or you've just started a business. You are in the process of getting everything going and you need an About Me page for your website. Maybe you're out there going, what's an About Me page at all? And why do I need it? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you are in the right place. Okay, so what is this? This is what an About Me page is. I've distilled it down to two things. Now, this is where the former librarian comes into play. So I am a librarian, so we are really good at researching, right? So when I started my business and I was doing my own, I did what I do as a librarian, which is I researched and I went down a rabbit hole and I read all kinds of articles and I looked at all kinds of examples. So you don't have to. And I distilled it down to an About Me page. It's pitching to them, your potential new customers, clients, whatever you call them, while sounding like you, right? So an About Me page is in fact kind of a pitch. So you're going to develop your product. You're going to know what that is. I'm helping with the sounding like you part of the deal, right? And it's also part of your brand, right? This is a really big part of your brand, which is your voice. So you're like, some of you might be thinking like, well, I have a brand, like I have a logo, I have colors, I have a web page. That's what a brand is, right? Well, not exactly. So what is a brand? A brand is a name, term, design, symbol, or any other feature that identifies one seller's goods or services as distinct from those of other sellers. And the key word in there is distinct, right? So this is how you separate yourself from everybody else. And this is hugely important. And your About Me page is part of this. Why is this hugely important? Why do you need to establish a brand? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you need to establish a brand because you need to make yourself stand out. And part of how you do that is telling a story, right? Story is crucial. Why is story so compelling and why do businesses and people count on them so much? Well, it all has to do with your brain, okay? Our brains are designed to process information. That's what they do. It's who they are. And so we take on facts every single day. So what happens in your brain when you take on a fact? So today is Wednesday. That's a fact. What happens? The words get transmitted into sound waves. The sound waves go into your ear, into the auditory cortex, where they get translated back into words. It then goes into something called the Wernicke area. Those words get defined and you make meaning out of the sentence. Now, those are only two areas of the brain, and they're very surface areas of the brain. So what does story bring to it? The story, if you're telling a story, it activates a third area of your brain called the insular cortex. Now, the insular cortex is something that does a great many things, like parts of our brains just do all kinds of things. But for our purposes, what the insular cortex does is it takes all of those sensory details in your story, sights, sounds, smells, whatever you're describing, and it brings them into an emotional context, right? And if you know anything about selling, we like to tell ourselves we buy things based on fact, but we really don't. We buy things based on feeling and then tell ourselves a story that we bought it based on fact, right? And emotion is the gateway to so many things. And your story, which you can highlight in your About Me page, is so crucial to that. And if you did it really well, you also release a hormone called oxytocin. So oxytocin is another one of those things, does a great many things, but it is what I call the trust hormone. So if it gets released when somebody from outside of the tribe gets trusted to become in the tribe. So that is the power of story. And that is why telling your story is so crucial and why the About Me page is such a great place to do that. Okay, let's talk about some truths. Now, I know that we live in a visual world. It's all about video, it's all about pictures, it's all about all of that stuff, but there are consequences to that. So in 1960, worldwide, we took 3 billion photographs, right? And think about the technology in 1960. People didn't, a video camera was a clunky, expensive piece of equipment. The internet didn't exist. You had to leave your house and take it to be developed. And so 3 billion photos in that world, that's pretty big. But look at 2020. In 2020, we are up to 1.4 trillion photos taken every year. And because we have the ability to just take a photo anytime we want to, we take it of anything we want to, right? We have infinite storage. So yeah, we'll take a picture of our breakfast. We'll take a picture of our cats, many, many pictures of our cats or whatever pet we have. And that's just photographs. This doesn't include video. It doesn't include memes. It doesn't include GIFs. It doesn't include, any of that other visual things that we share. We are in an age of visual glut, right? And there's some consequences to that. So 50 milliseconds. Guys, that's the amount of time a customer will give your website before judging it. That is 0.05 seconds. That's all you have. And they've already started to make a judgment about who you are and what you do, right? We do not give people time anymore. 2 seconds. 43% of people, almost half of the people on the internet, will give your website 2 seconds to download. 2 seconds, right? And they want that to work well across all 3 of your devices. Want to work on phone, tablet, or your desktop or laptop, whatever it is that you use, depending on your business. Yes, desktops still exist. So I get it. Like when you're starting, you're really focusing on those visuals, you're really focusing on your technical stuff. And by the time you get around to your copy, it's just like, really? I have to devote all this attention to that, my words, as well as my pictures. Who's reading anymore? But here's the truth is that if you do, look at how many people, the next place they go is your About Me page, right? If you've made that landing page really good and compelling, they're going to want to find out about who you are. And this is where you really have a chance to shine. And why is that? Because reading is slow. Reading takes time. We have managed to make everything move quicker and be more productive. But reading, we have, there's speed reading, but come on, reading as an activity, we have not appreciably increased how quickly people read for centuries, because reading is an immersive experience. And so if you get people on your About page and they spend 1 minute reading your About section in a world where they give you 0.05 seconds before they started judging you, that is an accomplishment. That is a huge block of time in a modern world, right? And so why is it so important to tell and share your story? And I get it. We like our privacy, but your story is one of your most important pieces of your business. And why is that? Because other people may have your skills. No one has your story. No one has the breadcrumbs, the connecting the dots that make you, you, right? And at this point, a lot of people may say, yeah, but I'm just, a normal person, right? I don't have a compelling story. I'm married. I have a couple of kids. I'm building my business on the side, or, I'm recently divorced, or I'm just out of college. Like nobody's going to find that compelling. But here's the truth is nobody really wants to. In a world, we have the world of know, like, and trust, right? And people want to work with people they like. Most people have fairly normal stories. They want to work with people who get the difficulties of trying to balance work and motherhood. They want to get the fear and excitement of just starting your business out of college. They want to get the, getting out of the relationship and starting something new. You just want people to know, they just want to know that you get them, right? And so highlighting your quote unquote normal, usual, boring story is still powerful, because it's how you connect with people that you're going to want to work with you, because all of a sudden you have something in common, right? Okay, so how do we do this? Well, here is where my novelist brain came into the equation. So I sat there and I like writing. And when I started my business, I was trying to figure out, like, how do I do this? How do I create my About page? And so I, like I said, I read all the articles. I did what they said. I filled out the complicated form of all my stuff. And then I looked at the examples and I tried to mimic. This is what people do, right? Didn't work. And I like writing, right? And I could not make this work. And then my novelist brain kicked in and said, well, you know what it's like, Colleen? It's like the blurb of your book, right? And if you think about it, a blurb is a book's About Me page. It gives you a sense of what the book is about without going into overwhelming detail, but it makes you want to find out more. So maybe you buy the book, and for you, maybe it's they make an appointment, or maybe it's they download your lead magnet, right? Something like that. And so what I did for my blurb was I did the Pixar 5-sentence method, right? This is how Pixar creates their amazing movies, and they do this differently than any other movie company in the biz. Other movie companies, like, okay, they somebody writes a script, they submit the script, they buy the script gets revised. The script is about by a producer. The producer brings on other writers if the script needs revision. They bring on a director. They hire the actors and everything, and that's how it happens. Pixar doesn't do it that way. Pixar starts with these 5 sentences, and based on these 5 sentences, they get a spine of the story. They get the 3-act structure of their movie, and then they create the script, and then they start animating. But they need the most basic part of the story so that they can build on it. So that is what this is. And the 5-sentence method is great because it takes you through every aspect you need of a story. And I'm going to explain how they work. One thing, though, I'm going to suggest before we get started, so you have a little bit of time while I'm explaining. You're going to do some work today, guys. So you're going to need some paper and a pen or pencil. I recommend pencil, and I'll explain why later. And, you're going to need this to get started. There's a part of you that's going to say, I don't really like writing. Can I record this? And I'm going to say yes, if you promise me that you'll actually go back and listen to it, because how many things you record that you don't go back and deal with, right? But writing is easier. Get some paper, get a pen or a pencil preferred, and then I'm going to start explaining this. And you're going to learn something about me today. And that thing is, I like musicals. Okay? If you're not a musical theater person, I'm so sorry that this is my example, but stay with me because all of this is going to make sense. So these are 5 open-ended questions that you fill in the blanks on. So the first one is once upon a time. It's very fairy tale-like, right? Second one is every day. Third one is one day. Fourth one is because of that. And the fifth one is until finally. So let's explain how they all work together. So once upon a time, right? Once upon a time is the opening shot of your of the story. So we're going to do this, and the musical I'm honing in on is a musical called Fiddler on the Roof. If you've never seen or heard Fiddler on the Roof, here's all you need to know. Fiddler on the Roof takes place at the turn of the last century, so into the 20th, not 21st century, and takes place in a poor Jewish community called a shtetl in Russia. And they are in danger from outside forces. Okay, all you need to know. So, curtains open. Our main character, Tevye, comes out, and he, is talking to the audience. And within 1 minute, the first song comes on. And that song is called Tradition, right? What does that song tell you? That song tells you the role of every single person in the village. It also tells you that the most important value that this village has is in their traditions, because they believe if they perform these traditions perfectly, God will protect them, right? So they've set the scene. Next scene is every day. Every day is, what is your normal day like, right? So we hone in on Tevye, and he is our main character. He's our point of view character. And we learn that Tevye has 5 daughters. And I don't know if you know anything about the Jewish faith, but they, value their sons over their daughters, sadly. And so Tevye has 5 daughters, and he's a wife, still married. And so he is this man who is surrounded by women. He is the milkman for this community. And every day the only man that he has to talk to is God. So every day when he's coming home, he's having a conversation with God about how his day is going. Okay. So in a film, if you were to think about this as a film, this is the first 10 to 15 minutes of the film. This is what the main character's life is like every day before what they call the inciting incident happens. This is called the one day. I call this the monkey wrench moment. And that's where you're going along, you're living your life, everything's normal, and life throws you a monkey wrench, right? Sometimes that monkey wrench is large. Think of like a murder mystery. Someone has been murdered, and that monkey wrench is huge because you have a whole group of people who have a whole bunch of secrets, and you have a whole group of other people whose job it is to find out the murderer, and all along the way, they found out all those secrets. Sometimes it's much smaller, like in Fiddler on the Roof. So the one day situation for that is his three oldest daughters, Zeidel, Chava, and Hodel, are doing their chores. It's a normal day, right? But Zeidel, as the oldest, has entered what they call the marriage market, which means that in this community, the matchmaker is the one who presents parents with options for their daughter, and Zeidel is struggling. But her younger sisters see this as dreamy and romantic, and they have the rose-colored glasses on. And that leads us to a number called matchmaker, right? And at the beginning of so here's the scene. They're doing their normal chores. The younger two sisters are being all romantic and dreamy. And in the middle of that, Zeidel has a moment where she screams out in Yiddish, "Enough!" And she falls to the floor and she's crying. And her sisters are like, what the heck is going on? This is the exciting incident, this moment, because everything changes after it. So what happens? Well, Zeidel takes those rose-colored glasses off her sisters' faces and are like, no, this is not romantic. This is not good. This is scary. I have no power. And if a rich enough man offers mama and papa enough money, I'm going to have to marry him. No matter if he's a good man, no matter if he's young or old, I have no power, right? And the sisters realize when the rose-colored glasses get taken off, and when they realize what this really is, they make a pact. The sisters decide that they are going to find their own husbands. Doesn't seem like a big deal, right? They're going to break tradition. And as we've already established, tradition is the number one value. This is a big deal, right? Because of that. Because of that is like most of the rest of the movie. Okay, so the sisters have decided to break tradition. Great. How does that go? How do you do that and not lose your community, not lose your faith, not lose your family? No spoilers, but it goes better for some sisters than other sisters, right? So basically that's most of the movie. And then we get Until Finally. Until Finally is the new normal. Okay, the sisters have made these choices. It has affected the family. What does the family look like now? Right? So these tell a complete story, right? And so what are we going to do today, ladies and gentlemen? We are going to create the first draft by answering each one of these questions, okay? 5 questions, you're gonna get 3 minutes a question. I like pencils instead of pens because pencils are easier to erase. And like Ted Lasso, I am not above a visual metaphor. The idea is this is not set in stone. Things can be erased. So here is some advice. We're going to get started here in a minute. I'm going to leave this slide up so you know which question we're on. I want you to, if it's in your brain, it goes on the page. Do not at this point separate, but that's personal. That's not professional. I don't want to, no. If your brain kicks it up, put it on the page. It is much easier to have too much and cut than have too little and try to expand. And if your brain's kicking it up, it's kicking it up for a reason, put it on the page. The second is be honest, right? The only person seeing this right now is you. So share it all, the good, the bad, the ugly, the boring, and even the weird. It's all okay. No one's seeing this but you, right? So we're going to go ahead and get started. Does everybody have their writing instrument? I hope so. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning. And for those of you who might be at this very moment having a deer in the headlights moment, breathe. If you need some place to start with the basics. Once upon a time, I was born to these two people in this town. They did this for a living. And when I was little, I always wanted to be this when I grew up. And if you, once you start writing, your brain jumps around and wants to write about other things, go where your brain takes you. Just keep writing, just keep moving forward, just keep putting ideas on the page, however that works for you. Okay. So here we go. Are we ready? We're going to start with Once Upon a Time. So we're setting the scene. Your time starts now. Thirty seconds. All right. So Yay, you got the first one done. I'm so excited. Take a breath. Um, go with wherever your intuition is telling you go next. If you want to talk about the moment that everything changed for you, please feel free to do it. If you want to start at the end and reverse engineer it, you can do that as well. But figure out where you're going to go, and we're going to start now. Thirty seconds left. All right. So give yourself a breath and, you know, do your pencil arm if you need to stretch it out. And we're going to get started again. All right. We ready? We're going to go now. 30 seconds, guys. All right. That's the end of the third one. Guys, you're over halfway there. So congratulate yourselves. Take a deep breath, shake out your shoulders, and we're going to start again right now. Thirty seconds. All right. Okay, you guys, we're almost done. This is going to be our last session. So get yourself settled, take a deep breath, take a sip of water if you need one. All right, are we ready? We're going to get started right now. 30 seconds. All right. We're finally done. Okay, guys. So does anybody want to share how it went for them? Want to share what they feel? How did it go? Okay, well, that's all right. Gather yourself. So I'm going to ask a question. Why did I make you do this? I went through the whole thing and I haven't answered that question yet, have I? So there
Oh, I
is,
would like to share.
please do. Thank you.
Um, so this was a good little experience. The thing that went through my head is that I kind of felt that I should have many years in the business to be able to elaborate more on how the business is going versus just starting up.
But I want you to remember something. Even if you're just starting up a business, that doesn't mean you're starting up your professional life, right? Think of it this way. There's a difference between experience and expertise. Experience is what's on a resume, right? But
Okay.
our expertise is our superpower. Like what the reason you go into business, like the thing that you do better than anybody else, that is your expertise. And a lot of times, for a lot of people, their experience doesn't showcase how they got their expertise, right? Because we can get expertise from all kinds of things, from volunteer opportunities, from hobbies, from religious institutions. It doesn't really matter. The point of the story is that this is an opportunity to connect the dots. And
Okay.
remember something else. Nobody really cares about why you do what you do. They have one question they need answered. They want to know how you can help them. And ironically, this is, and we forget this, that the About Me page, yes, it absolutely is for you to put your best foot forward in front of a potential client, but they kind of don't care. That's the ironic thing about an About Me page. They have two questions. They're coming because they have a problem, right? And they have two questions. One, can this person help me solve my problem, right? And they don't really care how you got there, right? And two, is the process of solving the problem going to be pretty painless? Because, we all want to work with people we like. That is the point of an About Me page. And so I want you to, I understand that there's that little voice in your head that's like, but you only have this, or you don't have that, or other people have more. But only you have your story. Okay? And
Okay.
remember, you're doing this in service of somebody else. So taking you out of it in some ways and reframing it as, I'm here to serve you, here's how I can do it, can be helpful. Does that help you?
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. So anybody else? We're open. This is a good time. Okay. So why did I make you do this? So there is the professional reason, is that a lot of times, we get to our copy and we try to do something that sounds professional. And I get the impulse, I truly do. But once again, they want to work with the person, right? They want to know who you are. And we all have a voice. And I know you're out there thinking, I'm not a writer, Colleen. I don't have a voice. I'm like, well, do you write emails? Do you text? Do you use Slack or any other communication device? Then I got news for you. You have a voice. You do write. And but it's hard to be like, okay, if I'm gonna say hire somebody to write for me or get a sense of what my voice really is, you now have a writing sample that is in your voice. And because I did not give you time to overthink, to throw in a bunch of jargon, to like inflate it because it should sound a certain way, this is what you sound like. And that's okay. And once again, nobody has your story and nobody sounds like you. Embrace that. And it does, the benefit is if you get to a point where like you want to hire somebody to write for you and they need a writing sample, congratulations, you now have one for them. But there's also a personal reason I do this. And that is, it can be a little daunting to see your story in black and white. It really can. So I'm just going to ask you a question. Are you treating yourself with grace? Because let's face it, no one is perfect. And we all have parts of our lives that are not parts that we particularly want the public to know, but we all make mistakes. Treat yourself with grace. And I hope that you come away with this doing that. All right. So what are the next steps? So the next step is you got to get out your calendar, right? If you do it digitally, get out your phone or get on your computer. If you're a paper person like me, get that out. And you're going to make an appointment on that calendar for 30 minutes, a 30-minute appointment. I'm only asking for a half an hour, 1 week from today, right? That's all I'm asking. Is why? Because the next step, obviously, is to revise this, is to put it together to tell your story, to take the first 2 questions, explaining where you were before you started the business, what you were doing, and then, answering question number 3, like, what was it that knocked you off course and started doing this? And then, the steps to taking to how to be you. You're going to work that out, but you need a little bit of distance to be able to really revise well. So give yourself that little bit of a distance. I'm only asking for a week, and make a 30-minute appointment to revise it. I have a QR code. You can get a gentle reminder in an email, just saying, so please, get out your phone, go ahead and do that. It's a gentle reminder, just like, hey, remember, you said you're going to do this. In that email, you get a copy of my revision recipe worksheet that helps you go through the revision process. If you're not a writer and you don't know how to revise, I've tried to make it easy for you. And then the very last step is you got to keep the appointment, right? You got to keep the appointment. And revision is a slower process. You did a first draft in 15 minutes. Revision is going to take you a little bit longer. Have yourself some grace with that. If you need to talk to me, there is my email and there's my Calendly link. I offer a free 30-minute anything session. So if you want to get on the horn with me and talk about your first draft, how you can, where you're stuck, how you can structure it, whatever the question is, I am there for you. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and get back to all of you all. And I'm just going to ask, are there any final questions that I can help you with today?
I'll just say that this was super helpful as I'm trying to write my website and don't know where to go after the landing page. So this has been super, super helpful.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, it is a weird thing, particularly if you don't do a copy, if you're not a writer, if whatever. And like there's a saying, good writers borrow, great writers steal. I don't know if I'm either one of those, but if there's somebody to steal from, Pixar is it. All right. Anybody else? Okay, I'll let Raul come back on if you have any final thoughts or want to let them know anything that's coming up with you guys so that they can sign up for it. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Colleen. If we could just give her a either silent round of applause there. Yes, Zoom applause. So that was amazing. I actually participated as well, and I got some really good insights there, some things I hadn't reflected on for a while. So hopefully you have some really good information there, guys, to take with you to your webpage or any other marketing material, because this is stuff you could probably crunch up into bite sizes as well. Make shorts out of it, social media posts. I mean, these things are this is juicy, rich content right there. So if you like this and you like what we're doing here, again, SBDC, we have free consulting. Some of you are not in our centers area, the North Metro Denver, but if you aren't, you should have a center associated with your city. So if you're in Denver, if you're out in Larimer, it doesn't matter what part of Colorado, there's a center there for you. And remember, we have free consulting. So if you haven't ever done that free consulting, if you're starting your business for the first time, that's very valuable because they'll help go through like a business plan concept, help you think about important questions before you get started or get too deep into it so that you can get all your resources together to really be successful instead of just boom. You know, you've all heard that entrepreneurial idea of like entrepreneurship is jumping out of an airplane and building the parachute on the way down. Sounds like a really bad idea, right? I think, you know, let's have a parachute at least before you jump out of the plane and then figure out the rest of the plan there, right? That's what we do. We help you build that parachute before you get actually jumping out of the plane. Or if you already did it, you know, come by. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care.